Have no fear, the digipreneur is here. Keron Rose joins us after quite a little. We didn't touch base for clearly a minute, but I'm happy. I'm happy you're back with us. From what I'm seeing, you would have been in China. You had a 2-week adventure with tech and culture. So you would have been busy.
Listen.
Yeah?
Busy as joke, Jason. Busy as joke.
So,
we had, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, back to China twice in a year. That is tremendous.
Yeah, no, this trip was definitely one for the books. So this trip was brought together by the Chinese Diplomacy Association. And it was an extremely important reason as to why we were brought down there. So what they did was this program brought together about 40 content creators and journalists and just people of influence in their respective spaces. And they brought them down to China. And basically what China is doing is China is going through a completely national and global rebrand, right? So with this new rebrand that China is going through, they know they have far advanced in almost every aspect of society. And they know that Western media will never give them the coverage that they would never give them their just due coverage. So they brought down 40 people from LATAM and the Caribbean, and we were able to have this tour for 16 days throughout multiple provinces and cities in China to experience the history, the culture, the technology, and actually see the real version of China. And then we were able now to go and kind of disseminate and really showcase all of our people across our platforms, what we are experiencing in China and so forth. So it was extremely amazing 16 days. And we were up from about 5 o'clock in the morning all the way down to 10 o'clock at night. We were coming back into the hotels. So that's just to tell you how packed and active we were for those days.
Wow. What was your biggest takeaway? Because I know you always talk about the tech, but I know there are certain cities that definitely lean to the technology. Is it something that you saw across the board, or did you get a chance to see rural China? What was your greatest takeaway? What was your the most lasting memory from the 2 weeks out there?
So they brought us to cities that were specialized. So our journey started off in Beijing. We went over to provinces called Anhui. We went over to a wide variety of cities and provinces, right? One of my favorites was Hangzhou. Now, my biggest takeaway was not even so much the technology, but it was the mindset of the people themselves, because we were brought into multiple universities. We were brought into temples, right? And it doesn't matter who you spoke to, what city, what province, everybody knows their history, and all of China is on the same page about the one goal that they all share, which is building China. And everybody's doing it in that regard. So if you were somebody that was in the culture side, where you were an opera singer, you were part of a production, when you talk to these people, they understand the history, they understand their role. When we were brought into universities and we were talking to 18-year-olds who are building businesses, or they were also content creators and they have these massive platforms as well, when you talk to them and you understand, what their goals are, what their passions are, what they're trying to pursue, they're so grounded in 1,000 years worth of history. These people are not just quoting Confucius or quoting Buddha or quoting some of their philosophers. These people are living their philosophies, and you can see it in their every day of life. So my biggest takeaway for me was just seeing how many people across multiple cities, provinces, different industries, everybody is working towards one goal, which is building Mother China. That was my biggest takeaway.
What lessons do you think we could apply to the Trinidad and Tobago experience based on your trip?
Oh, our best friends need to be China. Our best friends need to be China, because you know what? Right now, China has become the manufacturing capital of the world. They've become the trading capital of the world. One of the places that we went to that I think is I have to go back there, and I'm actually booked to go back again in a couple of weeks. So this is going to be a third time in China for the year. It's about to be crazy. There is a city called Yiwu, Yiwu. That is the city I need every single Trinbagonian to Google or jump on ChatGPT and understand. China's a very big place for manufacturing, for textiles, for supply chain, for logistics. Anything you need, China's a very big place, and China can be overwhelming to get started. What they've done is they have built the world's largest trading city in Yiwu, and they're about to launch their global digital trade center. And this is a massive city where basically it's like the storefront of China. So rather than having to go around to all the different provinces, you would start your journey in Yiwu, Y-I-W-U, Yiwu City. You start your journey there, you're going to meet all of the people in business and manufacturing, you name it, you'll meet everybody there. And once you meet them there, then that could take you to other parts of China. But Yiwu is a city that we need to understand. That way we as Trinidad and Tobago can tap into all of the business opportunities and that China has to offer from that city.
Well, I'm watching it right now. There's a wholesale market apparently there that you could go in and get your ball rolling.
Largest in the world. Largest in the world. Largest in the world.
Is it so? Okay, communication. Is it that you have to use apps to translate? Is it that the folks? I mean, I guess you were probably able to learn a couple Mandarin words, but the residents, those who live in China, could they speak the language of business, English? Do they have an English?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Jason. I love that question because China's playing 5D chess. The rest of the world is playing snakes and ladders. The government has been pushing the Chinese business community to learn 3 languages. Obviously, your mother tongue is Mandarin, but they're pushing all business owners to learn English and learn Spanish because those are the 2 most spoken languages in the world. Now that they're offering free classes, right? They offer free classes to learn these languages. You're going to meet more business people who absolutely speak Spanish or English, or they have a translator. But then there's also they also have the apps that you could use that'll translate for if you do run into a situation where you're speaking to someone that does not speak English. But then the other thing is that they have so many people who are kind of like middlemen who understand China but understand your language and your particular market, and they can work with you as the agent on the ground and their entire job is to help you build your business, but they take care of everything on the China back end, so you're only dealing with them. So there are companies, multi-billion-dollar companies that is all they do. They're just the middleman to ensure you get exactly what you need, and they are the boots on the ground for you in China.
Wow, interesting. So, again, obviously being out there, getting a chance again to embrace the culture, the sights, the sounds, is it that everywhere you went, because you went to different parts now, is it the same that applies when it comes to paying for let's say basic items, a water, a little food? You're using your phone, no physical cash. You could use in YU, that wholesale market, could you use, let's say, US currency?
So you could use cash, right? You could absolutely use cash, right? And I'll repeat this for everybody. There is nowhere in the world that is cashless, right? There's no country in the world, there's no city in the world that is cashless. However, even though there is cash, the people themselves choose not to use cash, right? So it's the same thing in China. If you have cash, they're taking your cash, but there are so many different payment options that people just do not use cash as a choice. It's not that they're forced and there's nothing cashless, but it's a choice. So let me give you a good example. You have a lot of unmanned convenience stores. You have a lot of unmanned vending machines littered throughout China. Right now, they're getting into robotic pharmacies where there's going to be no humans in the pharmacies. It'll be all robots taking your prescriptions and grabbing your exact medication and doing all these things, right? When you are using the applications like an Alipay or a WeChat Pay, and we have access to that in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean, right? Each and every one of us downloaded Alipay or WeChat Pay before we went over to China. We set it up and it was pulling directly from either our bank cards or credit cards. Trinidad, for you, would just be credit cards, right? But you're adding your credit card and you're making these payments. And once you have these applications, everything is happening within seconds, right? Within milliseconds. You're using your phone to open up unmanned convenience stores, unmanned pharmacies. You're making payments with your phone. I know one of the biggest concerns is that people always think, well, what if battery power runs out? A video that I'm going to be dropping this week is showcasing there are literal mobile power bank stations everywhere in China. You will never run out of juice in China because there's mobile power bank stations where you can go and rent a power bank and get that, and they're everywhere, or there's mobile charging stations everywhere. So that even when people on our trip, where batteries were dying, I was like, man, just go in the washroom, there's a power bank station. And they rented a mobile power bank, and they got it right in the bathroom stations of restaurants we were at. So it's easy to use your phone and your watch for everything in China because they've planned for all of the situations with battery power and outages as well.
Keron, you felt safe out there?
One of the safest places in the world. And the funniest thing is when people, because everybody was from Latin America and the Caribbean, they kept asking, because we were with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the most part, right? They would keep asking, hey, is this city safe? Is this city safe? And they used to just laugh and they're like, you're not in the West anymore. You're in China. You're in Asia. You're in one of the safest places ever. You can walk the street at any point in time. The women in our groups are walking the streets at all hours of the night, whether it was just to go to the grocery store or the late night cravings to the supermarket. You can go anywhere in China. And one of the things that I love that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had said to us was that the only people in China with guns are the police and the army. Nobody else needs a gun, which is one of the reasons why, violent crime just is very, very low in China. And then people believe in karma. People have something to believe in, so they don't really jeopardize these things. And it's the same in Thailand, right? So you're very safe when you come out to China. You're very safe when you come out to Thailand.
Wow, Keron Rose, I would love to hear so much more. I guess we could always have a part two and definitely, keep us in the loop with all the happenings, with your adventures out there in the Far East. Again, Keron, be safe. All the best and God's spare. We touch base again next week.
Absolutely. Everybody's saying this. If anybody, I'm having a workshop this weekend. It's on digital monetization streams. If you've been thinking about monetizing your platforms to 2026, go to KeronRose.com, look for the upcoming webinar section, and go check out that webinar. We're going to a nice workshop this weekend. So check it out on my website. And we'll touch base next week and we'll talk more China because I have a lot to unpack.
Of course, definitely. I look forward. Keron Rose, all the best, man. Our digipreneur, touching base. The reason, obviously, you didn't see him for a minute. He was out there in China, on the road, making moves, living his best life. Keron, thank you so much. Let's get ready to dive into another conversation on cancer. We touch base with Dr. Vasant Basdio. We are dealing with lifestyle